Today I want to talk to you about les studios de la Victorine, the Victorine studios, which are located in Nice, quite close to the Nice airport, which is the third biggest, largest airport in France after Orly et Charles de Gaulle in Paris. And so les studios de la Victorine, the Victorine studios, are basically the French replica of Hollywood. That's a joke, but basically my family is from this part of France, from Nice, especially my father's family. They are deeply rooted in this part of France, the Nice region. The Gauberti family dates back from the Middle Ages, and they used to live in Pay, which is a tiny village up in the hills above Nice, in the arrière-pays, as we say. And so they evolved and they came down to Nice over the course of generations. And I remember fondly when my paternal grandmother talked about les studios de la Victorine, so the Victorine studios, which are basically, and my father as well talked about them, which were some film studios in which quite a lot of films, famous films actually, were shot back in the 20s up to the 60s in Nice, right, at this Victorine studios. And 2 years ago, I think in 2019, they or 2018, they actually held some journée portes ouvertes, so some days where you could actually go and visit them. It was great. I attended, and it really was great. It was a fantastic PR coup that they did, and a lot of people from Nice were there. I mean, I don't live in Nice on a daily basis, obviously, because most of my time I'm in London or Paris. But as a quasi Niçoise, I went there and I had a fantastic time. It was really delightful. So basically what happened is that les studios de la Victorine, those film studios, were bought by the Nice Town Hall, the mayor of Nice, and his town hall a few years ago to revamp them and also revive them, because the studios had been closed for quite a long time, I think between the end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s, up to really now. So not much had happened, and they were just reviving, the whole thing. So when I was at the Cannes Film Festival on the 6th of July 2021, I attended a talk by the CNC, which is the equivalent of the BFI in France, the Commission Nationale du Cinéma. And this talk was in English. It was really actually very good. It was in particular with the producer of the Matt Damon film Stillwater. She was there, and she was one of the speakers. And I asked a few questions, and in particular I mentioned the Victorine studios, which I heard through the grapevine were quite busy and had a lot of filming assignments. And in my question, and then during the talk, a lady came to see me, Ms. Rosta-Giroux, and she said, "Yeah, I'm the new CEO, the new Chief Executive Officer of the Victorine Studios, and I understand that you had, you mentioned the Victorine Studios, so I just wanted to present myself to you, etc., and let you know that I'm here." And say, "Oh, this is really fantastic. Actually, I do a podcast through our creative industries law firm, Crefovi. And would you like to actually record one of his podcasts, episode 18, number 18, 18, about, the Victorine studios and how they came about back in the 20s and what you are doing now with them, etc., etc." And she was like, yeah, that sounds like great. And I followed up by email with her on the 6th of July, 2021. And after that, this woman, Ms. Rosta-Giroux, who is, I understand, the new CEO of the Victorine Studios, basically cancelled 3 times the recording of a podcast. So during the Cannes Film Festival, I understood that she was potentially quite busy, so I didn't take it personally, and I waited for the end of the Cannes Film Festival before I followed up, sent her another email and said, okay, how about we do it now, either on Zoom, or if you want, I can come to the studio de la Victorine in Nice at your convenience. And she was like, oh yeah, well, not right now, really. Let's talk in September. And so I sent an email. I said, look, there will always be a reason for you not to do it, apparently. So I also copied in Christian Estrosi in this email, because he's the mayor of Nice, and I think he needs to understand, how the assets he bought for Nice, such as the Victorine studios, are being managed by the people he actually put in place for such management of the of these such Nice assets, in particular the Victorine studios. I offered Mr. Stagirou and the Victorine studios quite an interesting platform and springboard to actually talk about, their new philosophy, their new strategy, their projects, and here she was just, basically quite squandering it. And after I sent this email copying Christian Estrosi, saying that I was quite surprised by this attitude, it's a yes and then passive aggressiveness through a terrible communication skills by basically, then saying no. So is it a yes, or is it a yes, no? I mean, what is this? Is this like the British way of communicating where Brits, they tell you yes, but actually it means no. So a lot of the time. Anyway, so, and then I received an email from actually the public relations team of the whole PACA, the whole Nice, saying, so what is it you want to do exactly? We'll receive your email. And so there I go again, explaining that it would be a good idea to actually, register a good also, basically publicity for the Victorine studios if I had the opportunity to record a podcast with a person who is in charge at the Victorine studios. And there again, this woman from the public relations team of the Nice and PACA region asks me basically she just sent me the link to the Zoom call. I said, no, I'm sorry. I need to have control over this because I'm going to record that Zoom call since Ms. Stagirou wants to do it by Zoom call in 30 minutes on Friday afternoon, which is fine. But I need to have, basically control over this Zoom call, because then I need to edit it and to present it and to prepare it, to edit the Zoom call, which we will record. So I need to, keep the control of that. So basically she wanted to, I've never felt so basically controlled and overmanaged than this time around when this woman from the Nice and PACA public relations team started to also ask me the whole list of questions. So I said, yeah, sure, here is the handwritten list of questions that I will ask to Ms. Giroux on this coming Friday. And then she comes back to me and she says, how about we can't read your list of questions. Would you please transcript it in an email, your 20 questions? I was like, look, I never actually usually provide to my interviewees the questions in advance because I want this podcast to actually feel, to feel fresh and spontaneous. Here to be agreeable, I've actually sent you a list of handwritten questions. Now you are telling me you can't even, you want me to spend another 20 minutes writing down the list of 20 questions. I mean, I'm sorry, but I actually am a lawyer, I don't do this for a living. My living is to actually advise clients for creative industries. And that's it, they just cancel the whole thing. So, just on the pretense that basically I didn't send them the list of questions and therefore I didn't comply with a super controlling process. Stagirou was probably extremely happy because then she didn't have to do the podcast, which she didn't want to do after on reflection, I understand. And so here is my message to Christian Estrosi. This woman Stagirou is completely incapable of doing the job. She doesn't have any entrepreneurial skills and business skills to actually manage a team and efficiently with appropriate communication skills and a business like the Victorine Studios. She is inappropriate for this job. And I think, Christian Estrosi, it is time you realize this and you find someone who is actually a good entrepreneur, business person, but, you know, do not select a bureaucrat. This woman has worked for the Cannes Town Hall and the Nice Town Hall for the last 20 years. She's not up to the job. She's just an administrative person and a bureaucrat who doesn't take any initiatives, does some politicking in and out, and has some appalling passive-aggressive communication strategies. Just get rid of her and find someone else, Christian. You know, it's time you come to... And also, you guys need to get your ducks in a row. Apparently, the reason why probably this woman, Rosta Giraud, didn't want to do the podcast on reflection is because she doesn't have an absolute clue of the strategy of the Victorine Studios. So, since one of my questions was what's going to happen in the next 5 years for Victorine Studios, she doesn't want to have to talk about that because she's, you know, it is clear that the Nice Town Hall and the Victorine Studios have not done the legwork here. To rigorously prepare the business plan. So yeah, pretty appalling way to deal with a publicity opportunity here, demonstrated by the team at the Nice Town Hall and the Victorine Studios. That's a shame, but hopefully they will get the message and change their ways and. Work on improving and take good, basically good acknowledgement of my of this constructive feedback. I wish them well.